There is a quiet desperation that runs through the veins of modern men. A hunger that never finds satisfaction, a thirst that deepens with every drink. You see it everywhere. In the carefully curated photographs posted to invisible audiences, in the nervous laughter that follows every statement seeking confirmation, in the way men reshape their words and opinions like clay in the hands of whoever stands before them. Men today are not living their own lives. They are performing them. They wake each morning and step onto a stage they never chose, speaking lines written by the expectations of others, seeking applause from crowds who will forget them before the curtain falls. This is the modern condition, the invisible prison built not of walls, but of glances, judgments, and the perpetual question that echoes in the minds of millions. What do they think of me? But there exists another path, an ancient way that has been walked by philosophers and warriors, by men who stood unmoved while empires crumbled around them. These were the Stoics, men who understood a truth that has been forgotten in our age of constant connection and perpetual performance, that the opinion of others is smoke in the wind, that approval is a currency without value, and that a man who builds his life on the shifting sands of external validation has built nothing at all. The trap is subtle, and that is why it catches so many. It begins innocently enough. A child seeks the smile of his father, the praise of his mother, and this is natural. But somewhere along the journey to manhood, this natural desire becomes a prison. The boy who once sought approval to know he was loved becomes the man who seeks approval to know he exists. He measures his worth not by the content of his character, but by the number of eyes that turn toward him when he enters a room. He speaks not the truth that lives in his heart, but the words he believes will earn nods of agreement. He laughs at jokes that aren't funny, agrees with opinions he doesn't hold. And slowly, piece by piece, he surrenders the sovereignty of his own soul. This is what the chase for approval does to a man. It turns him into an actor who has forgotten he is acting, a puppet who has learned to pull his own strings. Every decision becomes a calculation. Will this make them like me? Will this earn their respect? Will this keep me in their favor? And with each calculation, the true self recedes further into shadow, until one day a man wakes up and realizes he has spent his entire life being someone he is not, seeking validation from people whose opinions he doesn't even respect. The cruelty of this trap is that it makes a man weak precisely by making him dependent. When your sense of worth comes from outside yourself, you become a beggar at the table of others' opinions. You give away your power to every person whose validation you seek. The woman whose attention you crave now holds your emotional state in her hands. The colleagues whose respect you desire now control your confidence with a word or a glance. The strangers on social media whose likes you count now determine whether you feel valuable or worthless. You have made yourself small, controllable, predictable. You have traded your strength for a handful of compliments that will evaporate like morning dew. And the worst part is that the validation you receive never satisfies. It's like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. Each drop of approval only deepens the craving, because you know, somewhere in the depths of your being, that what is given can be taken away. Your worth is no longer yours. It belongs to them, and they can revoke it whenever they choose. The Stoics understood this trap with a clarity that cuts through millennia. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, sat on a throne and wrote words that would outlive his empire. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Here was a man who commanded legions, who could have demanded the worship of millions. Yet he saw through the illusion of external validation with the eyes of a philosopher. He knew that the opinions of others existed entirely outside the sphere of his control, and therefore they held no power over his inner peace. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, taught that there are only two categories in life: things within our control and things beyond it. The opinions others hold of you, the judgments they make, the approval they grant or withhold, all of this falls firmly in the second category. To stake your happiness on something you cannot control is to choose suffering. It is to make yourself a slave to forces that shift like sand in the wind. Seneca wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And nowhere is this more true than in our desperate concern for what others think. We torture ourselves with imagined judgments. We construct elaborate scenarios of criticism and rejection. We live in a prison of our own making, all because we have forgotten a simple truth, that the only opinion that truly matters is the one we hold of ourselves. The Stoic man builds his worth from the inside out, not the outside in. He understands that virtue is its own reward, that character is its own validation. When he acts with courage, he does not need others to call him brave. When he speaks the truth, he does not need others to agree with him. When he shows kindness, he does not need others to praise him. The act itself is complete. His measure of success is not the applause he receives, but the alignment between his actions and his principles. Did he do what was right? Did he act with integrity? Did he remain true to his values when pressure mounted to abandon them? These are the questions that occupy his mind, not the shallow concerns of reputation and image. He knows that reputation is what others think you are, but character is what you actually are. And he has chosen to invest his energy in the substance, not the shadow. This is the foundation of emotional independence, the bedrock upon which the Stoic man stands. When criticism comes, and it always comes, he does not crumble. He does not rush to defend himself or justify his choices. He listens with the calm detachment of a scientist examining data. Is there truth in this criticism? If yes, he extracts the lesson and discards the emotion. If no, he releases it like smoke through his fingers. The criticism was never about him anyway. It was about the critic's own fears, insecurities, and projections. Why would he allow someone else's internal turmoil to disturb his peace? When praise comes, he accepts it with the same equanimity. He does not inflate with pride or allow his ego to swell. He knows that praise is as unreliable as criticism, that today's hero is tomorrow's villain in the court of public opinion. He remains steady, neither elevated by approval nor diminished by disapproval, because his center is within himself, not scattered among the minds of others. In relationships, this principle transforms everything. The Stoic man never begs for attention. He never chases someone who has shown disinterest. He never lowers himself to seek validation from someone who does not see his value. This is not pride or arrogance. It is self-respect, the acknowledgement that his dignity is not negotiable. When a woman shows genuine interest, he meets her with presence and authenticity. When she pulls away, he does not follow with desperate texts and anxious questions. He understands that you cannot negotiate desire, that you cannot convince someone to value you. Either they do or they don't, and both outcomes are equally acceptable to a man who is complete within himself. In friendships, he does not tolerate disrespect or manipulation. He does not maintain relationships out of obligation or fear of being alone. He surrounds himself with people who elevate him, who challenge him to grow, who see him clearly and value him honestly. And if those people are few, so be it. Better to walk alone with integrity than to walk in a crowd wearing a mask. There is a paradox here that reveals itself only through practice. The moment a man stops seeking approval is the moment he becomes most worthy of it. When you no longer need validation, you become magnetic. When you no longer perform for others, you become authentic. When you no longer change yourself to fit expectations, you become trustworthy. People can sense the difference between a man who needs their approval and a man who is content without it. The first man repels through his neediness. The second man attracts through his strength. It is not that the Stoic man is trying to attract attention by appearing not to care. This would be another form of seeking approval, just more sophisticated. Rather, he genuinely does not require external validation because he has built something solid within himself. And this solidity, this unshakable core, creates a gravity that draws others toward him. They trust him because he cannot be bought with flattery. They respect him because he cannot be controlled with criticism. They seek his counsel because his perspective is not clouded by the need to please. The ancient wisdom of the Stoics speaks directly to the challenges of modern life, perhaps more urgently now than ever before. We live in an age of infinite connection, yet profound loneliness, where every moment can be broadcast yet nothing feels real, where approval is quantified in numbers that flash across screens, yet satisfaction remains elusive. Social media has become the amphitheater where millions perform daily, measuring their worth in likes and comments and shares, allowing algorithms to determine their emotional states. The Stoic man sees this trap clearly. He understands that the version of life displayed on screens is not life itself, but a carefully edited performance. And he refuses to compare his inner reality to others' outer projections. He uses these tools when they serve him, but never allows them to define him. He posts or doesn't post based on his own judgment, not on anticipated reactions. He does not check his phone every 5 minutes to see if someone has validated his existence in the workplace. The Stoic approach to approval creates a different kind of professional. Most men navigate their careers as a series of performances designed to impress superiors, win favor, and climb ladders. They say yes when they mean no. They take credit when it's not due and avoid blame when it is. They measure success by titles and salaries, by corner offices and parking spaces. The Stoic man measures success differently. He asks, "Did I do excellent work today? Did I act with integrity? Did I serve a purpose larger than my ego?" If he receives recognition, good. If he doesn't, equally good. He knows that quality work speaks for itself, that character reveals itself over time, that the man who focuses on becoming excellent rather than appearing excellent will ultimately achieve both. And if he doesn't? If his integrity costs him a promotion, or his honesty makes him unpopular, then he is still won, because he has preserved the only thing that truly matters, his self-respect. In the arena of criticism and insecurity, the Stoic framework offers liberation. Every man faces doubt. Every man hears the voice that whispers he is not enough, that others see through him, that he is fraudulent or insufficient. The difference is that most men believe this voice and spend their lives trying to silence it with external validation. The Stoic man recognizes this voice as a story, not a truth. He observes it with the detachment of a scientist observing a natural phenomenon. The voice speaks, and he acknowledges it without being controlled by it. When insecurity arises, he does not rush to social media to fish for compliments or to friends to seek reassurance. He sits with the discomfort, examines its roots, and continues acting in alignment with his values regardless. This is courage, not the absence of fear or doubt, but the willingness to act with integrity even when fear and doubt are present. Over time, he discovers something remarkable, that the insecure voice loses its power when it is no longer fed with attention. That confidence is built not through validation, but through the repetition of value-aligned action. The power of not needing approval extends into every corner of a man's life, transforming not just how others see him, but how he sees himself. When you wake up in the morning and your first thought is not what others think of you, but what kind of man you want to be today, you have reclaimed your sovereignty. When you can sit in silence without reaching for your phone to fill the void with external stimulation, you've found something rare: comfort in your own presence. When you can receive rejection, criticism, or indifference without it shaking the foundations of your self-worth, you have built something that cannot be taken from you. This is the fortress of the Stoic mind, not built of stone, but of principles, not defended by walls, but by wisdom. Inside this fortress, you are free. Free from the exhausting performance of trying to be all things to all people. Free from the constant anxiety of wondering if you measure up. Free from the manipulation of those who would control you through the granting or withholding of approval. But this freedom requires vigilance, because the pull towards seeking approval is strong and subtle. It creeps back in disguised as networking, as politeness, as strategic relationship building. The Stoic man must continually ask himself, am I acting from my center, or am I performing for an audience? Am I making this choice because it aligns with my values, or because I fear judgment? Am I speaking my truth or telling people what they want to hear? This is not about being harsh or uncaring. The Stoic man can be kind without being weak, compassionate without being dependent. He listens deeply because he values understanding, not because he needs approval. He offers help because it is right, not because it will make others like him. He is polite and considerate because these reflect his character, not because he fears criticism. The difference is subtle but profound. In one scenario, he is the author of his actions. In the other, he is merely responding to external pressure. The Stoic path is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about becoming free. It is about recognizing that you have been carrying a burden that was never yours to carry. The impossible task of controlling what others think of you. You have spent years, perhaps decades, trying to manage perceptions, craft images, and earn approval. And all of it has been wasted energy because the minds of others were never within your control to begin with. The Stoic man sets down this burden. He steps off the stage. He removes the mask. And in doing so, he discovers who he actually is beneath the layers of performance and pretense. He might discover that he is quieter than he thought, that he enjoys solitude more than he admitted, that his true opinions differ from those he expressed for acceptance. He begins the work of knowing himself, which is the foundation of all philosophy and the beginning of all freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, never intending them for publication, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of the Stoic approach to approval. You cannot control whether others like you, respect you, or validate you. But you can control whether you like yourself, respect yourself, and validate yourself. And when you master this internal work, when you build an unshakable foundation of self-respect based on virtue rather than validation, something extraordinary happens. The opinions of others lose their power over you. Not because you're arrogant or dismissive, but because you have found something more reliable than the ever-shifting sands of popular opinion. You have found yourself. The final truth that every Stoic man must embrace is that this journey has no finish line. There will always be moments when the old hunger for approval resurfaces, when you catch yourself performing instead of being, when you feel the pull to shape yourself according to others' expectations. This is not failure. This is human. The practice is not about achieving perfect independence from all external opinion, as if you were some isolated hermit on a mountain, untouched by human connection. The practice is about returning, again and again, to your center. When you notice you've drifted into approval seeking, you simply notice and return. When you realize you've been living for others' validation, you acknowledge it and choose differently. Over time, these returns become easier, the center becomes more stable, and the peace that comes from self-possession becomes more consistent. Because in the end, the man who needs nothing cannot be controlled by anyone. He walks through life with a quiet strength that needs no announcement. He faces criticism without collapsing and praise without inflating. He builds relationships based on mutual respect rather than desperate need. He pursues excellence for its own sake, not for the rewards it might bring. He speaks truth even when silence would be safer. He acts with integrity even when compromise would be easier. He remains himself even when conformity would be more comfortable. This is not because he is trying to prove something or impress anyone. This is simply who he has chosen to be. And in that choice, repeated daily in 1,000 small decisions, he has found something that no amount of external validation could ever provide. The unshakable peace that comes from living in alignment with his deepest values. The quiet joy that emerges when a man finally stops performing and starts existing. And the profound strength that belongs only to those who have learned to stand alone. He does not seek applause. He seeks mastery. He does not chase approval. He chases virtue. His life is guided not by who others want him to be, but by who he has chosen to become. And in that choosing, he has found his freedom.